Cynical Thinker here. I would like to just discuss briefly my final thoughts on Stranger Things Season 4. I like this season. Season 1 is still the best season, if you ignore the retconning done here in regards to Eleven and Brenner's history. Season 4 is much better than Season 3. Everyone was kept apart most of the time again, but it worked here, unlike in that season. I liked aspects of the antagonists. Military equals bad, and the ultimate villain from the Upside Down is acceptable. What I don't like about the main enemy antagonist is the retroactive changes to Eleven, Brenner, and the lab. The changes were made to create an all-encompassing through the four seasons villain that obviously never existed before. It is very disappointing to have this done unnecessarily, as the writing and story this season was good otherwise. I have to believe it because the show is telling me it is so, but I will never believe the 11 from the first 3 seasons experienced growing up in a lab of other psychic kids and that there was a mass slaughter event. Convenient amnesia, altering the 11 and Brenner relationship. Just no. It doesn't work, which annoys me. My biggest issue with all of this and the season, however, is the core concept of this season and the upside down antagonist, which is flawed story-wise. Now all 4 seasons of the mystery of the unknown other dimension becomes lesser with the revelation that the retcon to always have existed main human villain in the Upside Down is behind everything that ever happened. Changing the Upside Down from a foreign dimension threat of foreign creatures to a typical human threat is very lame. The Mind Flayer is now a thing a child invented, and said child conveniently ended up in a dimension where he could make it exist. It's disappointing to now be told a human was responsible for everything that happened with the Upside Down through every season. The human is a typical psycho who wants to destroy the world, cliché lines and all. The concept of the other dimension is now confused and inconsistent. I also didn't care for the Russia storyline, which I was honestly hoping would be resolved in a few episodes. The Russia stuff isn't bad, just fine. The season this time was determined to isolate the young characters from the adults and more capable people, regardless of logic at times. People die who may not have died because of this, and a terrible situation for the town occurs. Those are the big issues with Season 4. I do like this season. The various storylines are interesting. I was happy to see everyone, and some new characters like Eddie and Argyle are solid. Government guys Brenner and Owens work with Eleven to return her powers, which was really cool. Murray and Joyce getting creative to work as a team to find and rescue Hopper in Russia. The Upside Down and new enemy before his BS reveal is good. The town, Steve, Nancy, Robin, and more working together to investigate, solve problems, and deal with a predicament way above their abilities. All really cool. Will and Mike have some friendship moments and do what they can. I like Will and Eleven are closer now. Dustin and Robin have irritating times, but also funny times. Still good people. It's good stuff this season. I had fun and enjoyed nearly everything. The runtimes are all over the place, time unevenly distributed, and the first 2 episodes in particular are too long for what we get. Viewing the 9 episodes as one season, not a 7-episode part 1 and 2-episode part 2, makes more sense. So do that. Okay, so I already gave a spoiler warning, but here are some super spoilers. So be warned. If you really don't want to know everything that happens because you haven't watched it yet and you're going to, or you just don't want to know, leave now. Otherwise, here we go. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Deaths include Eddie, one of the high school students and D&D group leader, Dustin and Mike's friend, possibly Lucas's as well. Jason, the main jock and the basketball captain. Chrissy's boyfriend, who is also a new character who dies. And Lucas's friend and teammate on the basketball team. And likely but unconfirmed deaths also include Brenner, who we last saw seriously wounded, and Max, probably brain dead. Now, technically, we didn't see Brenner die on screen again. By their own rules from previous seasons, he could live. He's very gravely injured, but that doesn't mean you're gonna die. Max did actually die, but then somehow was brought back to life by psychic powers. Yeah, I don't understand that. And is in a coma, seemingly brain dead. Eleven was not able to reach her. However, with this show, again, the Max situation could go either way. Where she is brain dead and she just saved the heart, the corpse, it's just a beating heart, no brain activity kind of thing. Or she'll be able to somehow magically come back from it. They could go either way with those characters. That's why I say unconfirmed deaths. And as for the ending, I'm still not certain on why the ending scene happened. If anyone understands, or at least thinks they understand, the very end of this season, please do explain it to me. I am unclear as to why the rift opened again. So, unless he killed people off screen to get that fourth victim, or Max died somehow right at that moment, I don't understand how it could open. I also don't understand how he could survive this antagonist from what he endures, but whatever. It's dumb. I really went from liking the antagonist to hating him. Okay. Anyway, so that's obviously I already discussed that issue. I'm not a fan of retconning and all that, so it really bothered me. But there's so much good in this season that I still really like it. I recommend Stranger Things Season 4 for a watch. Prior knowledge of the previous 3 seasons would be helpful. Technically not required, but you definitely would get more out of it to watch it, so you'd know everybody. And these are my final thoughts on the season. So now let me get into my rating. For all 9 episodes of season 4, the ratings are as follows. Episode 1 was a 5 out of 10. Episode 2, 6 out of 10. Episode 3, 7 out of 10. Episode 4, 10 out of 10. Episode 5, 8 out of 10. Episode 6, 8 out of 10. Episode 7, 8 out of 10. Episode 8, 6 out of 10. Episode 9, 9 out of 10. So that's a 5, 6, 7, 10, 3 eights, a 6, and a 9. Average of all these scores into a 7.5 for the entire season. That score feels fair to me as well and accurate, because for me, the core concept is flawed this season. It relies on retcon and making upside down bad guy a human threat. There are great scenes, characters, events aplenty, but there are some bad events, reveals, confusing story changes, extra scenes that are unnecessary and just drag the runtime, unnecessary storylines, like the Russian prison stuff, which really, you really could just not have shown Hopper and or just like really brief glimpses, and instead of giving this whole storyline in Russia and all that, it dragged. I really like Hopper, but not a fan of just a imprisoned Hopper with not much to do. And another example would be having the jock antagonist. While there are some great moments with him and like things that happen, it was also one of those things that was, well, he didn't really need it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, however. It's just the length of them was drawn out. So if we would have kept if we kept those storylines and just cut it down a bit, I think it would have worked better. So yeah, just all of that, mainly for me again, that core concept is what brings it down to a 7.5. Otherwise, it would be higher, because there's so much good in this season. Definitely a huge step up from season 3. I would need to rewatch the previous seasons to give an actual score, but I do think, just off the top of my head from memory, I would say the other seasons, if I were to rate them with my rating system, right now I would say season 1 is a 10 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it just does so much right, and even the stuff that maybe isn't that excellent is still it just works. So 10 out of 10 for season 1. Season 2, I would say, still does plenty right. It's very similar to season 1, but less good. So that gets an 8 out of 10. Season 3 really took a huge step down, where there's just all the characters are split up. They're all just doing different things. There is a ton of just unnecessary like teen stuff that it's like a completely different show. So that season 3 for me is a 4 out of 10. Very few good things in it, and I don't really want to watch it again. But yeah, season 1 I can watch anytime. Season 2 I can mostly watch it as well anytime. And even season 4, while there are episodes I might skip or move around so I don't have to watch a full episode, it's definitely a step up from the previous couple seasons. I can watch it again. That's my scoring then. This season, a 7.5 out of 10. I recommend. Give it a try. If you haven't watched Stranger Things at all yet, I really do recommend this series, this show. Because while there are definitely some episodes and moments and events and things that I really don't care for, overall, there's just a lot of really entertaining, good things to enjoy. So it gets a recommend for me for season 4 and for any of the seasons of Stranger Things on Netflix. Thank you for listening and watching. I hope you got something out of this. Bye.